I think we're live. Hi everyone. Welcome to Cats Creations, live on Sunday at 6 p.m. Today we are going to be creating, that one's weird. I grabbed the wrong video. Hold on a second. Today we're going to be creating a baseball wreath. This is about the third one that I've done. I keep grabbing the wrong video. How weird. It keeps grabbing the one from January the 30th. Go figure. Hang on just a second. I don't know why it's being so stupid. Let me see. Boop, boop, boop. Give me 1 second. Facebook's just being really weird right now.
Hi Ravina, hi Michelle, hi Gail, hi Clara, hi Linda, Kathy, Richard, hey everybody.
Hi everyone. Okay, here we go. Again, it's just being weird. Every time I pull up my page, all I get is events. I don't get my posts. Let me see if this will do it. There we go. Okay, so on my iPad, it looks like their Facebook's doing some weird updates. So today we're going to be making a baseball / apple pie wreath. I like doing these because they're not team specific. So it's kind of, you can get the whole baseball theme and it can basically go in any single home. It doesn't necessarily have to be affiliated with a specific American League or National League team, right? Is that what it is?
Right.
Okay, just making sure. So today we are taking this sign, which says "Nothing Says America Like Baseball and Apple Pie." This is from Personally Yours, which is at PLYWreathSigns.com. Is who designed this sign. I absolutely loved it. Couldn't wait for us to do this. And since baseball season is just about ready to start with spring training, I thought I would just go ahead and work on that today. I'm still waiting for some supplies to come in on another design that I'm working on. So I just have to wait a little bit longer for them to show up. So what we're doing, 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath ring. I've already done the first 5 sections for you. I'm going to show you how to wire up the 6th and final section, which is using our weld marks. We're going to take our pipe cleaner, slide this right in between the 2 innermost rings, and go ahead and give that a twist. And then we're going to use this one in the weld to kind of find a midway point to wire together the outside too.
Welcome Bridget, she said first time here.
Where are you from, Bridget? We'd like to welcome you. And that's true of anyone who joins tonight. Let us know where you're from. We'd like to welcome you so that who knows, maybe you'll make a crafting buddy today. So with this particular design, I'm kind of going with a lot to do with the sign. So the sign really gave me an awful lot of ideas in what to do. I was going to go with like a rustic Americana, believe it or not, but then I found that when I added this navy fabric mesh to the sign, it really popped the sign because the lettering on the sign isn't blue. It's just the only blue in this entire sign is right around the border, and then the blue on the field of American on the flag. So we are going to take 25-inch pieces of navy fabric mesh that I purchased from Kringle Designs, which is with a K, kringledesigns.us, and we're doing ruffles. So I wanted this space to be a little bit fuller than what we would normally get just using 20-inch ruffles, which means it's going to take you a roll and about 4 pieces.
And Valerie, the sign came from Personally Yours.
Yes. So I'm going to be removing my inside pieces of my pipe cleaner as I go around. This method of wiring together the 14-inch Dollar Tree wreath frame is gonna give you 18 pipe cleaners total, 6 on the inside, and then 12 on the outside for a grand total of 18.
Which is from Louisville, Kentucky.
Welcome. So this particular mesh, you cannot cut it with a wood burning tool because this has cotton fibers in it. So you're going to see it's going to drop quite a bit from time to time.
Hi Darla, she said I found you live. Hi Cat and Group.
Hi,
if
welcome.
you're just finding us for the first time, make sure you click on your screen on the upper right. You should see 3 dots and you can find turn on notifications.
And then you'll forever have us.
Yep.
Well,
as long as you're on Facebook and you're scrolling around, you should see the live come up.
correct. Absolutely. So I noticed that this last roll that I cut the 4 pieces from frayed quite a bit. I don't know if there was just like an offset in one of the fibers. So once I get these 4 pieces on, we should see a little bit of a cleaner look to it. Now the only way that you can really keep this from fraying is if, I prefer to wait till you're all the way done. Grab some E6000 adhesive spray and then go ahead and spray, paying close attention to just the deco mesh part, like areas like this where you have your cut edges exposed, and that will help you be able to retain some of those a little bit
Mary
better.
Patterson, are you really watching with that many people? She said, hi Kat, watching from West Virginia with Ellie Shrout, Karen Patterson, Amy Davis-Lee, Karen Bucklew, Thomas, Sharon Heroy, Renee Cox, Judy Patterson, Connie Haslacker, and Mary Judith Patterson.
Wow, what are you guys doing?
Are you all watching together?
Were you, that's why I'm like, generally speaking, what were you doing before you decided, hey, well, let's go on Facebook Live and
I'll tell you what, I'm seeing New York Met colors.
that's true.
I haven't seen this red, white, and blue yet.
Yeah, there's probably a ton of teams that could kind of go in that,
Or blue and white, or red and white.
yeah, in that general direction. So I just like the navy. The navy just, like I said, it really popped the sign. So that was my whole theme behind that. I was like, ooh, let's go navy. And then I decided to use the fabric mesh and really take advantage of a really dark neutral base.
The gal's just joining in. Hi, Kenitha. I think Peggy, she sent 100 stars.
Yes, so our stars. The little thing at the bottom to the right of your comment field, you'll see a little gold star with a circle around it. That star, for every star that you send, it's equivalent to 1 cent. So we are using the Facebook stars that we accumulate during the month of February to support an organization called Cup of Joe for a Joe, which means that every $2.50 raised allows a military service member to purchase a beverage. Yeah, I hate to say coffee because it's not just coffee. So there's people who do iced tea or, you know, frappuccinos or whatever. So it's kind of like a little taste of home. And it's only for our service men and women.
Darlas can use the E6000 spray on the signs if they're not coated to help them weatherproof.
No, it's not going to do anything. That's an adhesive spray, so that's just going to help like fraying or keeping things like attached. Like, basically you're just going to use it on your mesh or maybe your ribbon edges if your edges of your ribbon are kind of coming apart.
Yeah, if you really have a sign that's not coated, you should use some sort of clear coat enamel spray or something that doesn't yellow.
I would refrain from spraying any of these signs because they're sublimation, so they're already on. There's already a shine
that's
to
already
this.
Coated. That's a sign that's not coated.
Yeah, but I don't get into spraying. I let customers decide. I mean, you can get UV protectant spray, but let's be honest. I did an experiment for an entire year doing ribbon and mesh of all types, all colors, all methods of being put on a frame. Ribbons, wired, ribbons not wired, natural mesh, deep mesh.
Left it out all year long.
Left it out all year long.
In the sun.
Direct sunlight here in the high desert. So we had high winds. We had heavy rain. We had sub-freezing temperatures. We had snow. We didn't really have any ice. But everything, if left out in that weather continuously, without regard to its care, is going to wear.
Both. Yeah.
It's just
Both
going to
with
wear.
E6000 and without.
Not even with E6000. It would be like a UV protectant spray, but then you're going to have to spray it faithfully every 6 weeks. And even then, it's not going to keep it from fading. It's just something that's going to happen. You know, it's like our patio furniture. You know, we don't spray our patio furniture. It's all going to fade if we don't keep it out of the elements. Nothing is meant to last. So I'm just being a little bit of a realist and saying that's just a fact. If we leave it outside in the weather, you know, it's going to wear more than if you bring it inside or keep it covered under like a covered walkway, a porch, a patio, or, you know, be faithful on your spraying. But even then, it's not going to keep it.
Anna sent 200 stars as well.
Thank you, Anna. So our goal for the month of February is to get to $50 worth of stars. That would allow us to match the other 50. Of course, we'd love to go higher, but we will match star for star, and that would give us $100 towards the Cup of Joe program for the month of February. And somewhere on there it says that it's supposed to do something on the stars thing. It'll say like, here's how much we've raised, but I have not seen that pop. But my goal is to make sure that this is as dense as possible on our wreath frame so that it doesn't allow an awful lot of light through. So that's why we're going a little bit thicker. I can tell you that darker colors will fade more noticeably than lighter colors will. Red is the first to go. Red kind of goes from a red to a pink quite quickly. So just make sure that you're aware of that if you're creating. Red goes quickly, fades quickly. Okay. So I'm just getting these prepared for ribbon.
Nancy, I'll zoom in a little bit. She said, can you get a close-up of how Kat spreads out the ruffles when she puts them in?
These ones are a little bit hard to spread out because I'm doing an extra 5 inches and I didn't normally do that. But I'll show you. Finished edges will always go towards the inside as I'm working around the edge. So here's my middle. I'll try to push those down. I go right in between. Yes, my pipe cleaner gets stuck in my mesh quite a bit. I'm just going to go ahead and twist this the 5 times. Snip the excess off, tuck that back down. And then I don't really do it so much with the inside 6 because the insides are meant to basically be fillers, meaning that the inside here, like when you look at this blank section, the inside here is to fill this section in here. So this, if you think about it like a little round circle, this a little round circle, this as a round circle, it's just to give you an overall good coverage. Yeah. So now if you look, I'm grabbing the one that's right next to that, and it's got quite a bit that lays on top of that. So that makes sure that I have like no gaps in that coverage at all. Okay. Trying to get all of that in. It is quite a hefty amount. Okay, so now this one's going to go right almost halfway on top of the center one I just put in. And it's going to lay. I always try to take the ends and kind of fold the very, very, very ends in, because that's where it's going to fray. Like right here, fold it, and then open it. I don't let them be basically an open, because this one is just going to almost lay right on top of this one. It's kind of hard to picture it. If you drew it out and had a whole bunch of circles, you would kind of see how they're all going to go side by side. And at some point, they're going to overlap. Don't want to shoot my scissors off the other side. Trying to keep that as even as I can.
Actual price of the stars.
Huh?
They actually raised the price of the stars.
Why?
Well, so for example, now I could get 530 stars for $9.99.
What?
Yeah. 1,200 stars for $19.99.
Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah. So it's almost like 1 star is 2 pennies.
So it's double?
Yeah, almost.
Are you doing the math?
Not quite.
Okay, that's just Facebook now. Facebook probably realized that they weren't making an awful lot of money on that. And decided, like everything else, right? Everything has gone up.
Hi Linda, the length of the mesh is cut to 25 inches.
Just because I wanted to make it much thicker. And you can look, that's the thickness of what's going into my pipe cleaner. A lot. But when that fans out, it's going to create a very thick, very full base. I'm starting to like go thicker on some of my mesh bases now. It's just surprising because mesh is lightweight anyway.
Yeah.
So you just, I think when people open their boxes, they're surprised by how light it is.
I like this dark navy blue though because it really helps cover.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to see.
Because yeah, this is a light matte color.
Yeah.
It's not the dark gray. And so I really wanted to kind of go dark so I could see, is that really going to cover like I thought it would?
Yeah, Bonnie said I love this color blue. This is really pretty navy blue.
Yeah. And this one, I decided really not to go with anything glittery or metallic because I wanted it just to be not so, what's the term that I'm thinking of? I didn't want it to be all glitter.
No bling.
No bling. Yeah, just homey.
Richard, yeah, so it's more than one roll. It's about a roll and a quarter.
It's a roll and 4 pieces.
Right.
So, because I was like, I'm going to count this. I'm going to see how many pieces I can get. I can get 14 25-inch pieces out of one roll. And then I had to go into another. Which means that I have enough to do this again. Because I bought 3 rolls of this. So I can repeat this base color. And know that 3 rolls will give me enough to do it twice. So I'm going to put this inside. See, my pipe cleaners always get stuck in the mesh holes. Doing the same thing.
Rowena, good question.
What's that?
Are you going to charge for both rolls of mesh, even though you only use 4 pieces of the second roll? Not really.
No, because I try to be 100% legitimate on exactly how much everything is costing. But there's some things that you just throw in, like pipe cleaners. I don't calculate pipe cleaners. You know, I don't do the math and go, well, technically it cost me 10 cents on, you know, 18 pipe cleaners or whatever it is. There's just some things I just kind of roll up.
As long as you're making a minimum of double what your materials are.
Well, there's so many odds. There's just too many odds and ends in there. Because the cost of shipping right now is just through the roof. Just through the roof. I keep waiting for another company to surface to be competitive on their shipping rates. Because for us wreath makers, it's very expensive to ship. Because it's not the weight of the product, it's the size of the box it comes in. If we could find a way...
Vacuum seal it.
No, because... No.
I know, it would change the shape of it.
You could not vacuum seal it. It would still be the size of the product. So, no. What we need to do is have a company who's willing to stand alone and say, we're going to price based on distance and weight, not the size of the box. Because there's a lot of people who ship stuff like paintings or prints, and those aren't expensive, but it's the size of their box that make things... Oop, I forgot to take my last center one out. There we go. Pop that one in. Look at how thick that is. That is just gorgeous. Except for right in here. I mean, obviously it's not going to cover in the very, very center. Got one more piece left. But I think it did what I had hoped it would, which is really cover the center. Okay. Trying to gather this. It always wobbles left and right. Last one. Wow, I've got to get all the way in to the center. Right in here. Keep that fanned out. 2 times. Okay. Let's make sure we have, this is the top. Top. I'm going to grab my bottom. And then just move things around. There we go. Look at how gorgeous and thick and full that is. It's really nice. And I love fabric mesh because it's very soft, especially this fabric mesh. It would not fall under, I think, what we would call our XB. There's some Deco mesh for fabric mesh that starts with XB. That's very thin. It's very soft, but it depends on what color. There's some that we label extra bad because it's just on the coverage side of things, it's just not there. Okay, there we go. All right, we are going to add our ribbon tails. So I'm going to separate these. We're doing a solid red and a solid blue because we're going to pair that with colors on our half bows. So believe it or not, we're using navy blue. I know you're thinking, wow, you're never going to see that on there. You will. Once we add everything else. So these are cut to 14-inch pieces. They're already dovetailed. So I'm going to do that one.
Right, so the postman told me that if there was weight in the box, it would actually be cheaper.
No.
No, it's just the weight of the box and the size of the box, like a 24-inch box, right? You could have up to how many pounds?
25 pounds. 25
pounds, and the weight does, and the cost doesn't change.
Yeah, I could put a 1-pound item in that box. It doesn't matter. Right. They're still charging me as though that box weighs 25 pounds.
Right, because it takes up the same.
Because yeah, they think that based on that size of the box, it should weigh There's a formula they come up with. It's called dimensional weight, and it's based on the dimensions of the box. We feel it should weigh X. So we're going to charge you as though I'm shipping a 25-pound package, which just isn't fair.
Yeah, no, she actually rarely uses UPS.
I don't use UPS.
Yeah.
My personal experience with UPS has not been favorable. So.
Okay, have you ever put ribbon on the inside pipe cleaners or just the outside? Yeah, you have before.
Yes, I've done both. It just depends, honestly, on the design, where I'm going. Am I adding a bow? Most of the time, if I'm not going to do a bow and I have a fairly small sign, I generally won't. I'll add more ribbon to the inside. I'm just getting rid of these edges. So this is like an edge.
Richard asks, who do you use?
I use FedEx. In 4 years, FedEx has not lost one of my packages ever. So for me, that's a track record with my customers that I'm willing to pay a little bit more for. And we know our local FedEx center, our ship center. We know the people in there. So we've just had really good rapport with FedEx. And I know other people have not when it comes to certain things.
And from time to time, if she has a close delivery within the state of California, she'll use USPS.
Not always.
Not always, though.
Okay. So I had out a whole bunch of different ribbons, like I did patterns. I had a larger checkered, like both in red and blue. But when you see the 1.5-inch ribbon that's going to sit on top of this, you'll understand why I chose the colors I did.
Richard, that's a whole different topic. So how much is shipping a wreath with them? Just depends on where you're shipping it to.
Yeah, depends on where you're shipping it, what size box. It just depends. It's crazy shipping though. So I'm hoping it'll change. It'd be nice if it did. Because every year about this time, if you're a small business, you're doing your taxes, you're getting all of your stuff ready to write off. And so you're looking at how much things used to cost last year in shipping versus this year in shipping. And it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's tougher for people who live on the West Coast or the East Coast because they have to pay shipping charges all the way to the opposite side. Yeah. So it's less expensive if you're like in Texas or centrally located.
Could be. I think you still have there's high price zones for where maybe they just don't get an awful lot of packages going to those zones, so they have a tendency of charging a little bit more.
Yeah.
So.
Ravina said, I really like those solids on the 2.5-inch tails. I never use 2.5-inch solids on tails. Guess I'm going to start now.
Yes. So, I know. I was the same way. I was like, I'm really not looking at the blue on blue. I just see that as like losing contrast. But there's where your mock-up comes into play, right? It determines how your final product will look.
Becky, yeah, she uses ShipStation from time to time.
Yeah, like I said, everything right now, it just doesn't, nothing compares. You would think even Etsy, you would think Etsy would have some pretty hefty discounts with their carriers because all of the Etsy sellers are basically able to kind of joint pull, and you would think that was a ton of stuff. But when I compare their prices to my individual price, I'm like, nope, rather do it my own.
Yeah, the blue looks pretty. It does.
Yeah. It's funny though, you really don't see it pop except for the red. Like when I'm looking at it. I just see the red popping right now. Let's put you the other way, dear. I rolled you the wrong way. There we go. Okay. So on the outside, like I said, those are all cut to 14-inch pieces, and these are on 50-yard spools. So these are all from like Crinkle Designs. So whenever you can find large quantities in your basic colors, you guys in my private group know what I always say about our basic colors, pick them up. So Crinkle had these a while back, and honestly, I've had them forever because I'm like you guys. I want the pretty patterned fun stuff. Nobody wants just the plain Janes. So, taking a hint from our sign, we are going to do the burgundy and tan gingham ribbon, which is what is bordered all the way around the sign. This is going to go on top of our navy blue, because this on top of the navy blue is going to really pop that color. And these are cut to 19-inch pieces. I did it again. I was going to throw the 14 and make them 15.
Well, it says I still get confused on the shipping part, like how much to add into the product so that the shipping cost doesn't scare the customer. That's the tough part.
It's really difficult because, in all honesty, you know, you almost have to wait for the first couple months to go through so that you can decide, you know, is this just a rare occasion? Like, I'm okay with the rare opportunity where I might have something that has to go to Maine and it might just really push it outside of what I would consider my average. Then I'm not going to penalize that customer because it's $42 to ship there. Those are just ones where you're like, okay.
Yeah, you're going to have to eat a couple bucks.
Yeah, you're going to have to eat it a little bit. It's either that or you price yourself out of your market. What is to our detriment right now is wreath makers who are selling far, far below their costs. Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time. People selling wreaths for $45 and shipping for $15. I'm like, can't compete with you, hun.
But they're pricing themselves out eventually.
Yeah, they're in they're in it for a hobby because there's no money being made on that. Because I know how much money they put in their product, and those are the people that we see every year destashing their supplies because they just didn't make any money. So it wasn't a money maker.
Yep. No sense in being in it if you're only going to make $10 a wreath and it takes you 2 hours to.
There's some people who aren't making any. They're just lucky to get the cost of their supplies back out. And it's sad because that's not a business. That's still a hobby. Makes you feel good when you sell something, but you're like, so how much money did you really make off of that? And they're like, well, I didn't, but I'm thinking at some point I will. And that's not a business. So I'm trying not to discourage you. I'm just saying there are ways. You have to wait it out. Kind of got to wait out a lot of stuff right now. We've just got to see what's going on with the state of things going on in the world. There's a lot of unknowns. So I'm just being patient and just waiting.
So the 1.5 inch is 19.
Yes, these are cut to 19-inch.
And the 2.5 are 14-inch.
Mm-hmm. But see how that really now complements the navy blue underneath? So I'm just going to pick these up so I can see them. It's very Americana-esque. And don't think I won't be using the navy blue when it comes time for us to start doing our, Americana wreaths. Because that's where you trend into your navies and burgundies and tans over your standard red, white, and blues. But I like the way that they put the sign together. And I'm just twisting these off because I'm not going to add anything else to this, to the navy and the tan. So you always have to right side one of your ribbons, and then I'm going to take that, fold it on the inside. And then if you just kind of put your ribbon between your fingertips, it kind of acts the way the old curling ribbon did with our scissors. It kind of helps you put that curl back in. There's that one. We have one more piece. Can't wait to see this one in the daylight, because you'll see those colors. Like if you were to take a picture of this right now, it's too dark for us, but even with you know, artificial light, you're still not going to see the true colors. Last one right here. The gingham ribbon. Where did that come from, Steve? Crinkle. That came from Crinkle as well.
Yep.
So, most of the ribbon today was brought to you by Crinkle Designs, along with the fabric mesh. And I think that was it.
Oh, and Fifth Street Studio.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to that ribbon yet. So the ribbon so far is all from Crinkle though, and the mesh. Oops, there we go. Let's take this one. See, here's our front curl. We're just gonna take it and pull it around the back. There we go. Okay, so we've added our gingham all the way around. Now this is where we're going to add our baseball theme. So 2 different kinds of ribbon. We have your baseball stitching and you have the actual baseballs. We're going to combine these. These are both 19-inch pieces of 1.5 inches, both from Fifth Street Studios, and we're going to do a double bow. Now I like the quality of the ball one. This one, not so much. This one's much, much thinner. This is a little thicker. So this is going to have some weight to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring our tails together, go up about 2 inches. We're going to scrunch in. I'm going to hold this as soon as I get it. It's like painted on, so right where I'm trying to scrunch on that larger baseball, it's not wanting to yield. So we're going to do the same here.
And dimensions come out about 24 by 24 by about 6 inches. Roughly.
So we're going to go ahead and place this here. So we're doing a double bow on the red. This way I get to use both baseball ribbons. We're going to snip this off. We're going to go ahead and take that, tuck that right behind. We're going to open up our ribbon, right side the other piece. Open this loop. We've got a right side the other side. Got to get it down in there. So this is a double bow. It actually has 4 tails that alternate the colors, and then that sits on that solid red, just like that. Now if I wanted to, you could pull your red on top of that gingham so that you can get that full look all the way through. But you can see where this one just does not have the stability that this one does. This is much, much thicker, which is why I decided to combo the 2. So we're going to do those all the way around on our red 2.5. Pinch in. Do the same thing with the baseball. Pinch in. And I am just going to slightly vary. So I did stitching on the left here. This one I'm going to do the baseballs to the left.
Just I love the double bow.
Yeah, just on a standard wreath though, you can't do double bows on both. You would just seriously crowd out the other one. So we'll open right side one of our loops. Put that back down. Open this up.
Good night, Tracy. Have a great night.
Good night.
Your wreath looks amazing.
Thanks. There's that one. And we'll do the same thing. We'll put our red up on top.
He said, I love watching you create your wreaths and the tips you share.
Oh, you're so welcome. Let me have a water. Okay, so now we need baseball to the right. So there's that one. Had that one inside out. You can tell because the pattern is much lighter. We're going to put our stitching to the right. Try to get this done. I've had this sign for quite some time, so every time I kept coming across it, when I'm organizing or looking for other signs, I was like, wow, can't wait till I can put that wreath together. Really want to do that one. Let's pull this up. Flip our stitching back over. Make sure.
I mean, the 1.5 inches are also 19 inch for the double bows.
Mm-hmm.
No worries, it's a really long work. Love the colors.
No worries. I know it's a later night. Sundays is our late night. It's not late night for some people. Like us on this side, it's only, well, 6 our time, right? Mm-hmm. Let's see. Where is that one? It's way up here. Let's fold that. And then we can flip it. I'm just reorienting my mesh. Sometimes you have to just reposition. There we go. I always got this one end. Okay. Stitching is now going to go to the left. And baseballs are going to the right. I'm just adding a little bit of visual interest. Odds are, I don't know if the customer would even know that, you know, I'm alternating every other one so that there's a little bit of a difference in the pattern of the baseballs going all the way around. Tuck that in. We'll open. Right side our stitching. Okay, open this one up, and then right side our baseball. There we go. Okay, spinning, stitching now is going to go to the left, the baseballs to the right.
Wow, Charlotte, that's a tough job.
What's that?
I just worked a 36-hour weekend. They're going to try to stay up and finish the wreath. I'm a correctional officer.
Wow.
You can always watch the replay.
That's why they're there. We understand life. Life happens. We can't always. There's that.
Have you changed from 18-inch to 19-inch on 1.5 bows?
Most of the time now I'm seeing yes, because what I wanted is when I am flipping my half bows, I noticed that the tail length was kind of coming up a little bit shorter than the tail length on the 1.5 was shorter than the tail length on the 14 or the 2.5 inch width. Yeah. So I wanted them to kind of come out and meet at the same spot. So I was like, I think I'm gonna have to go a little bit longer.
Gotcha. So crafting is my stress relief. I get that. I can understand that.
I love it. I can really relate to that. Okay. We are going to tuck a red ender and then do the last one. So this will be stitching to the right. Trying to keep them as even as I can. It's weird. It's like sometimes when you pinch in, you get just one off. And then we'll pinch in. This time our baseballs go to the left. Just like that. No worries, Carol. I totally understand. It will be available. It'll be here for you when you're ready. There we go. Okay. There's that. All right. Now we're going to build our bow. I'm going to remove this other piece. I keep every now and then I'll see like a little string edge that's going around the top. Sometimes they don't finish them quite completely. So you'll see me grab these and pull them off because it creates a nice, more finished look. So I'm going to set that off to the side. And I'm going to put the red down first. So the blue is going to sit on top of that. So you can see that there's a little bit of fraying. And that's what happens when you're dealing with an unfinished edge. Just trying to make sure it doesn't fall to the floor.
Hi, Carol. So my bow dabber came in today. I'm so excited. Oh, you'll love it.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you will. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is dovetail our edge. So that just means bring your wired edges together. And depending upon how deep you want your V is where you're going to start your cut. But our destination is always going to be at that wired edge. So I like mine a little bit on the deeper side. So we're going to go 10 inches in. And then we're going to twist. And that's where it's going to enter this middle section of our bow dabra. We're going for 5.5 inch loops. So you'll always see me take my bow dabra and bring it right back to the 10 just to verify my measurements. We're at 5.5 there. And this is just a recipe of a bow formula that works for me. That one felt a little shy. That's closer to 6. There's 5.5. And then we'll go back out to our 10 inch. Dovetail our edges. Just like that. one down. See, I think if you have the red and the navy, you're pretty well set on your 2.5 inch colors. We'll do the same here. Wired edges together. Go right in, and we're gonna do 9.5 inches in, just like that. Twist, place it inside. We are gonna do 5-inch loop. See where that lines up. Right there is 5 inches. And I'm always trying to make sure that I get them in there as smooth as I can, so that they're not like overly pinching and bunching. Although depending upon how thick your ribbon is, it's probably going to happen that way anyway.
Chelsea, you make those look so easy.
Well,
practice.
Yeah, I was going to say practice. I've been doing it for over 4 years. So all I can say is one day it just clicks. And then from that point on, you've mastered bow making. And then you just mix it up and try new things. Yeah. I mean, when you look at overall bows, there's really not that many out there that you can make. Grab these. So those are the ones that we have. And we need to add in our Swiss dot, which is from Personally Yours as well. So not only can you get signs from her, you can get ribbon as well. So we are going to, I'm going to probably put the stitching down because it's not my favorite. Then I'm going to pair that just like this, I believe. Or what if we do this way and then, yeah, that way we'll have the baseball on the top. So we'll keep the Americana look going.
Interest, you can get a Bodabra from Amazon. It's in one of Kat's links. You can get it from Hobby Lobby.
I usually say, yeah, try to find it someplace where you can apply a coupon to it. I want to say they're about $19.99 now. And I know Hobby Lobby doesn't have their 40% off coupons, but, you know, try checking Joann's, Michael's, Walmart. So now we're doing 9-inch tails with 4.5-inch loops for our gingham. Just making sure everything is the right.
They work great. They end up being like your second set of hands, kind of.
Yes. I use them for so much more than just bow making. Plus, if you keep the box, it stores nicely. It's a rectangular item, squared, so they stack on top of other rectangular items you might have. Okay, so now we're going to do our stitching. And this is going to be 8.5 inch. No, this was 8.5. No, yes, this is 8.5. So it goes 10, 9.5, 9. This is 8.5. I have to hold this one because it has a tendency of sliding as you're trying to cut it. So 8.5 inches in.
So you're teaching me how to use the Bodabra before I even open the box. Yay!
That's true. And then we're going to do 4.5-inch loops. So because I've already measured the bottom, I just put my fingers in both loops, and then I don't have to re-measure my loop size. So there's that one. Put this back here to measure my tail length at 8.5.
Patrice, you are welcome.
There's that. This is weird. Okay, there's that. Now we'll do our Swiss dot, which is my other favorite ribbon. Gingham, Swiss dot, and solids. My friends, because generally if you have those in your inventory, even if you couldn't find something pretty and fancy, you could still make a really gorgeous bow just with those. So 8 inches in, and we're going to do 4-inch loops. So this one I'm going to have to remeasure. Bring it in a bit. Another 4 inches. You always know it's got to come in a little bit more than the one before. And then out 8 inches. Dovetail again. Let's see. Yep. Got a good cut. Pin this one. And the last one is our all-time favorite baseball ribbon. This one is going to be 7.5 inches for the tail length. And then it's going to be 3.5 inches for our loop size. So it's pretty small. That is 4. Let me make sure this is back on the 10. A little bit further. It really is a baby loop. Okay. Now the reason why I like making this type of wreath is because you can sell it on Etsy because it's not trademarked. Right. You know, whereas if you did an actual baseball team, you're in violation of trademark and copyright laws. So the generic one works great. Then if you have a customer who wants to add their own team items to that, by all means, they definitely could. So we're going to take our pipe cleaner, get it prepped for us. Go ahead and lift this up. Not quite a normal thick stack, so that's kind of nice. It's going to be kind of small, so not quite as thick. It's just easier if you hold the stack, hold the pipe cleaner, and twist the stack. Set that aside. Grab my fluff board. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and slide this on this little C-hook. I'm going to put my pipe cleaners to the other side. And all that's going to do is keep my bulk of ribbon here from sliding all over the place. Okay, now you are going to separate your loops from your tails. So you always put your loop to one side, your tail to the other. On the opposite side, we're going to put our tail out here and our loop out to the side so that our loops and tails are directly across from each other on the top and bottom of your stack of ribbons. Now we're going to take this and go opposite so that we have our blue in between. Going back over here, we're going to pull that out. So now we're alternating our loops and our tail colors as we bring down each consecutive ribbon. So this is going to follow our red, This is where you can just even out your tails if they're not quite crispy enough or they're like slightly wrinkled. Okay, those are opposite here, following the blue. Okay, we're gonna go over here. Back here, we're following the gingham pattern. And we'll do gingham here. And then I'm going to see how it's kind of twisted right there. I'm going to straighten that up before I pull them. There we go. Okay, now you just, as you being the designer, you decide where you want everything. You can have your tails staggered in among your loops, or you can just leave them like I have them, which are all my tails are basically, let me find them here. Here's my tails, and those are my loops. This way it just makes it easy when it goes to attaching something on a sign. I know where my tails are all gonna fall, and I know where all my loops are gonna be. But now we've got to elevate them and give them some life. So we're gonna pull all these up, and it's gonna just depend on where they fall. But you can decide as the designer what you like.
Yeah, so I just love the overview so I can see much better and it's detailed.
Yeah, on Fridays we always do the front facing because there's still people who like to see it on the door, which we can't really do here. So you really can't truly see how big something is.
Right.
So we're going to open this one up. So we've opened up all of our 1.5 inches, just like that. And then we're going to open up these at the bottom. Here's our navy. Here's the red. Just like that. We'll do opposites on this side. You just got to get your fingers inside so you can pop them open. Just like that. And then on our tails, here's that thing with our scissors again. Let's put that arc back in them. So this way it's going to follow the contour of our wreath. Just like that. That's why wired ribbon works so nice. Is we can make all those work out the way we want. It's a little harder to do the ones on the bottom. You're kind of doing the whole hand. But it'll look nicer when we get it on the wreath. So there is our bow for our baseball wreath, just like so. And we're going to take it off the opposite way we put it on. I have to rebend my C-hook back because I keep banging it up against the wall. So it keeps pushing it down. So let's see how this is all gonna go. So here's our sign. Look at how gorgeous that is. So I kind of need it to do a couple different things. So it might kind of sit a little bit at an angle. I need a space in here. So let's see how our bow's gonna look if we place it up here. Just kind of like that. Just have the little, kind of not where I wanted it initially. Kind of wanted it off to the side. And I wanted the red and the blue to kind of frame my sign. Like so. But then it kind of puts it a little higher. Yeah, here's the downside. There's so much print up here that this is almost like if you're gonna take anything away, you could probably take away a little bit of the bottom. So I think, even though I'm not happy about that decision, I I think it's going to have to go at the top.
You can go the sign down more to the bottom right.
I can't, based on what I'm going to do.
Gotcha.
So I already know it has to, you need to be able to read the sign.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and do it that way. So let's affix our sign first. So I'm going to use my Beadsmith metal hole punch pliers, and I'm going to punch a hole in my sign just like you would use a hole punch to punch holes in paper. These are 1.5 millimeter, so it's just wide enough to put a pipe cleaner or 22 gauge floral wire, which is what I'm going to use. Okay.
Which is really cute.
Yeah. Snap. Okay. So let's build our sign base, which is take our wire or your pipe cleaner. You're going to put it through, make sure you even it up, you know, so you have just enough. And I like to build them from the back, which means that when I go to twist my wire, I'm twisting it on the back of the sign, which is going to build a little bit of a base. So, sorry, Steve, if you want to zoom back out. So that when you see this, there's a coil built here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a little base stack there. So I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Other side. Push that through. Even this up. There's that one. Okay. So I need my corner right in here. So I need this. So I am going to, here is my internal pipe cleaner, which is always nice. It basically gives you an indicator of, hey, your frame is here.
So you're getting lots of likes so far. You loving it?
Go over here. Whoop. Lordy. Okay, where'd that go? This is the downside of a lot of the fabric is you've got to pull it. So I know I want it right about there. So I'm going to go ahead and just give it half a twist.
Tracy, what gauge wire do you recommend?
For the signs, 22 gauge.
22 gauge.
Yeah, if you think about it this way, the higher the gauge, the thinner it is. So if you think about it like flying a plane, the higher the altitude, the thinner the air. It's the same how it applies to wire.
No problem, Charlotte. Thanks for staying in there for so long. Have a good night.
Oh, you're so...
My eyes are
Good
on
night.
fire.
Yes, go. And then I know exactly where Charlotte's at, and then you get off and you get all your stuff ready, and then you lay down in bed and your eyes just pop open. You're like, oh, for the love of God. Okay.
I made sure, so this is just the ruffle technique.
So we're going to go ahead and place that there.
And they were cut to 25 inches.
Again, right in here. Okay, so I think I've got that situated the way I want. I need this area up here to be flat because this is where our bow is going to go. But we can feather our edges now around our sign, which is simply just, you know, you don't want to bury your sign in the process of trying to feather that harsh edge. Just subtly take some of your mesh and just kind of create a nice little ruffle. And like I said, I'm working on something in this bottom corner area. Here is that other piece. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our bow on. Find. So this is going to go up in this general area. And there's a lot of mesh to get through with pipe cleaners, no less. Not that pipe cleaners are bad, it's just they're going to get stuck. All the little fibers, all the little hairs are going to get stuck on the other fibers. I'm trying to get it to go on a crossbar. Okay. I've got it on there. Let's get these to face the right direction. Yes. Okay. So we don't want to collapse our bow. It needs to float on top of our mesh, but still sit down so it doesn't look like it's really levitating above our mesh. So I'm going to make sure that our sign is not impacted. I'm going to pull all my ribbon. Have this one that needs to kind of come over here. Okay. There we go. We're just sorting tails now. Making sure. And this, of course, is sticking everywhere.
You said, I love how you match the sign so exact to the ribbons and mesh.
We try. Yeah. It doesn't always work out exactly that way. Okay, so let me fix my loops. These always get sorted when we're putting our sign on, just because you're maneuvering things around. There's another edge. Okay, so now we have our baseball, which is an official baseball. This is not a plastic. This is not anything. I actually bought these quite 4 years ago when I was making my baseball wreaths. We're actually going to be adding this right in here, which is why I had this nice little snug area in here for this baseball. But I also like it to be something that if you needed to, God forbid, you could take it out and actually use it. So we're going to attempt to do this. I've done it before. We're going to try to do it again. Did we do 22 gauge? We used the same as a pipe cleaner. We're actually going to try to go through the stitching. But I need to make sure I have enough to get it all the way down and secure it to the bottom of my...
I think you use your needle nose to try to help pull the stitching out just a little bit.
Well, let's find it. I don't try to pull the stitching out. Knowing that it's got to go in here, this is what I want it to do. Generally tells me it's got to be in here. So I just look for something that has relatively easy stitching to be able to go between.
Yeah, you're not going to get it.
The older you get, the harder it is to see the stitching. So I'm just, I've got to kind of fiddle it. Trying to keep it straight. Trying to make sure that I'm always in my same general area.
That stitching's in there pretty tight,
Huh?
Stitching's in there pretty tight.
Oh yeah. And I can get it. I get like just a fiber or two, and then it comes out.
I asked, could there be any trademark infringement with the
Baseball?
baseball?
Nope, because
No.
it's just a regular baseball.
Right.
It's not like, I'm not selling this as a Rawlings baseball wreath.
Right.
It's just a brand name to a baseball. And there we go. I got it.
Okay.
It just takes patience to get it under your stitching. So I'm going to lightly twist it so that it helps create a little bit of a base. There's my pipe cleaner again, which is always a great guide. And I always cut way too much, but I'd rather have more than enough on the wire part. Here it is. In order to be able to nestle that right in there and that it won't go anywhere. So I just now need to tie it or twist the wire down tight enough. And that just made for a really nice, super cute little home for our baseball. So that's in there. It's not going anywhere. Kind of just makes it for a really nice little extra added piece. So what do you guys think? Do you like the overall end result of how that all turned out? I'm gonna have to wait till tomorrow to get better photos of this. But that is this year's baseball wreath. So you can just redirect your tails wherever you want your
Richard said, let it, like it.
Your tails to go.
Vivian asked, how much did you charge for this?
I don't know. Haven't decided yet. I'd have to go through and put all my material costs in here. So, don't know. Somewhere probably in the ballpark, no pun intended. Maybe right around 90. Because we weigh it way thicker on our mesh base and specialty ribbon. And then still keeping the shipping costs affordable. So we're not pricing ourselves out.
This is available on your...
Yeah, if you'd like to purchase it, it is available on my website. And Steve just added it to the bottom.
Gail, yeah, I had it pinned, but Gail actually pinned the...
Gail's up?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Thanks, Gail.
Gail pinned the...
Nice. Okay. Well, you guys have a great rest of your evening. And I will talk to you on Friday. Bye, everyone. Have a great week.